The housing market is cooling a little bit, but sales prices are still on the rise. Realtor Dan Brown is here to help break down this month's market report from FC Tucker. Good morning. We were chatting. There's a lot to chat about. So we were chatting in the break. Where do things stand right now?
Well, Hannah, it's good to see you again. It's still a dynamic market. It is slowing down a little bit. Some of that is just due to the season. I mean, once we're past, we're into the fall.
People want to know where they're going to school for their kids.
Right. That's a normal slowdown, although we're still very busy. The market still is clipping right along. People are buying and selling houses every day. One of the big impacts, of course, is that the interest rates have ticked up measurably since I was here last month. Mm-hmm. And that has dampened some things a little bit. I mean, pending transactions, which are those under contract, that's the quick measure of how much is selling. That's certainly down year to date. It's against a crazy year last year.
Yeah.
But we're still selling quite a bit of houses. Yeah.
It's hard because you compare to 2021, but it was such an astronomical year when it came to being in a big buyer's market and whatnot. So what are we seeing right now when it comes to the impact, not only on housing, but then rental properties too?
Well, and that's a great question. Last year, a lot of things came to a head in the housing market, and it was all really underpinned by a shortage of homes. Mm-hmm. We just haven't been building enough houses in this country for the last 10 or 15 years. And so there's a lot of influences that have impacted the market. Now interest rates are part of that. But what happened is with the prices that have gone sky high, and they're going to stay there. They're going to stay there coming into the next couple of years. People have to live someplace. Mm-hmm. So if they didn't buy, they rented. Well, there's only a certain number of rentals. So the rental prices, it's an economy. It's supply and demand. So landlords have raised their rents, and that's put greater pressure on the people who rent, which tend to be younger buyers or older buyers, or those without some of the resources that home buyers have. And so there's some inequities there. There certainly are. And it's a tough market for everybody there.
Is this a buyer's market still, or where does it stand with buying and selling a house? Who's got it?
The sellers still have the edge.
Sellers, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, but sellers still have the edge, and we base that on inventory. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of talk about inventory doubling. It is, but it's up to a month now when it was 2 weeks, and it should be 4 months. That's really the break point between buyer and seller markets. So the difference is sellers are still have the advantage, but it's the frenzy that we had last year and at the very beginning of this year has certainly subsided, and that was, the wet blanket was the raise in interest rates. Mm-hmm. And that was intentional. I think the Fed did that intentionally to kind of calm a market that not just in central Indiana but nationally has been really on fire. And so it's still a seller's market, but the sellers have to be a little bit more cautious.
All right. Good to know. Dan Brown, we always appreciate you educating us here on Daybreak.
Glad to be here.
All right. Thanks so much. Hey.